Welcome in to Bears Weekly, a Chicago Bears network production. Download the Chicago Bears official app, brought to you by Verizon, to follow the team on the go. Bears Weekly is brought to you by Advocate Healthcare, Athletico Physical Therapy, Bet Rivers, CDW, Connie's Pizza, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite. Here are your hosts, Jeff Joniak, a.k.a. the Mayor of Bearsville, and his sidekick, Tom the Surfmaster Thayer.
Well, off-season training activities underway around the National Football League. 29 of the 32 teams, including the Bears, as they kick off a 3-week period at Hallis Hall. The mix of veterans and rookies and some new faces blend into what's going to go to training camp here in mid-July. So it's a get-acquainted session for everyone. Good to be back with you. A short turnaround from last Thursday night with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. Jim Miller will be along in just a moment. I'm Jeff Joniak. Coming up shortly, our teammate and former Bears fullback Jason McKie, our sideline reporter on the radio broadcasts here on ESPN Chicago and the Bears Radio Network, will join us as well. Thanks to our producers, Dan Barilli, Jordan Tredup, and in studio today, Sean Graney. The executive producer to the Bears Radio Network is Eric Ostrowski. So we went over the schedule release last week big time, and University loved and how it lays out. Now it's time to roll up the sleeves, get down to business, and this period really, I would imagine for everybody involved, is sharpen your skills and develop. Get ready.
It is sharpen your skills and develop, but the Bears have a lot more on their plate during this off season because of the amount of new bodies that are in place, a new system in place, a new defensive coordinator in place. You have to become familiar with everybody's coaching style. You have to become familiar with responsibilities. You have to have continuous conversation amongst your positions to try to become familiar with all the information that you have to be able to digest during this OTA period. Because really, when you come to training camp, the addition of football pads really increases just the importance of a daily practice.
And, Tommy, from what I've heard, attendance throughout this offseason has been outstanding. It's exactly what we want to hear. I'm sure not everyone makes it for whatever reasons throughout all the OTAs. It is voluntary. But given where this team is at, the excitement in the building, I would imagine almost everybody's going to be on hand.
Well, if you're not on hand, then what's your excuse? And I know there's veterans that are secure in what they've been able to earn over the course of a career, but nobody has that opportunity this year. This is about all for one and one for all. And so if there is someone that's missing with regularity, I would, as a position coach, as a coordinator, as a head coach, as a general manager, I would like to know the reasons behind it. Because every single facet of this football team, it needs continuity and development to ultimately get where you want to get, and that's winning your division to earn a spot into the playoffs.
All right, and so we got a rookie quarterback here, and I saw something in SI.com. Albert Breer wrote, over the past 16 draft cycles, starting with 2000 – through the 23 class, 48 quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and only 2, Jake Locker in 2011 and Jordan Love in 20, failed to start a game as a rookie. Pat Mahomes started 1 in his rookie year, but the days of having a guy sit, long gone. All these guys are going to find time, and they're going to start.
Well, I think Peyton Manning has really led the way for that argument. He says you're not going to develop by sitting on the bench. And when you look at the performance that he had his rookie year and how many interceptions he threw, maybe there is value to getting on the field as soon as possible. But, you don't have unrealistic expectations because of Peyton Manning, but then you have unrealistic expectations because of C.J. Stroud. And somewhere in between there is the performance of the rookie quarterback. And that's what you want to get, but that's the indicators that you're going to get throughout OTA meetings and then on to training camp.
All right, I'll tell you what, we're going to take our first break early because when we come back, we'll be joined by Jason McKie, our sideline reporter and former Chicago Bear, and the head coach at Carmel High School in Mundelein. Jim Miller will join us as well with Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak, and this is Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 23 years, Jeff Joniak, on the Bears Radio Network.
guest editor Jeff and Tom, and Jim Miller to join us from SiriusXM NFL Radio, and our partner in crime, Jason McKie. I've been ringing this guy, Tom and Jim, for a couple of weeks now, and he's been away. He's been busy. He's got other things going on. But J-Mac, how you feeling, man? What's going on?
Feeling good. Glad to join the show, talk some Bears football. As you know, you guys always do a great job, and excited to be back and excited about the season, here again with you guys, covering the Bears.
Well, what makes you most excited about 24 out of the gate here?
Yeah, just, as it has been the past few years, the offseason has been, exciting, just because of the moves that Ryan Poles has made and the positions he's put this team in terms of competing and being able to make moves in the offseason. And we see that with the draft. I mean, obviously, Caleb Williams, you bring in Rome Odunze, and, Keenan Allen. So there's a lot of promise on the team that really, showed some upside to end the season last year. So I'm just excited to see what these new pieces, how they can put it together, new coordinators, new staff. And I'm excited to see, what this offense is going to look like under the tutelage of Shane Waldron. You've got a lot of weapons, but, you can have all the ingredients in the world, but you still got to cook it and it has to taste good. So if you're not putting things together the right way, it's not going to be, the presentation is going to be what it needs to be. So I'm excited to see how, they go about developing, Caleb Williams, how this offense is going to be ran, who's going to be featured in what ways and how he's going to attack defenses and stuff like that. And then on the defense side of the ball, I'm looking forward to seeing, can this defense continue to pick up where they left off. We're missing some pieces still, but I think we got a lot of young talent, and we added some talent last year. So it's definitely exciting times to be a Bears fan, but it's also exciting times to cover them as well.
Hey, Jason, let me ask you something personally. So the schedule comes out last week, and you have a chance to take a look at it. But you're also a head coach that is getting a team prepared into your training camp and then into the regular season. When you see a trip in there like the London trip or the other games, does that affect how you have to put your work high school itinerary together according to the release of the NFL schedule?
Yeah, 100%. Everybody's looking at the schedule in terms of Bears fans and trying to book tickets. And, I know we're looking at it and trying to see where we're going to be at and get ready to cover the game. But, I've got my high school itinerary and I've got the Bears itinerary, brought up side by side to figure out, okay, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make sure my coaching staff is ready to be prepared, if I'm absent a few practices? And it happened like that last year. But, having a great coaching staff and, having a great system and a good level of expectation, and our kids understand, what's required of them, it enabled us to have a good season. So it's a challenge in that regard, but at the same time, when you have good people around you and you have a good system in place and you understand what it takes to win, then you can, manage two things at one time. And just blessed to be in the situation I'm in right now.
Jay, you talk about having a system in place, and the Bears really don't have a system in place. Plus, they have a new quarterback, and they have a lot of, new guys on the team. So when you think about the classroom sessions of OTA and the on-the-field sessions of an OTA, do you think that you put more emphasis on the classroom sessions, or do you want to get them up on their feet and moving as a team as much as classroom sessions?
I think you got to have some balance there, because it's one thing to go on the grease board and to diagnose plays and route concepts based upon what coverages you're seeing. But it's another thing to go out there and actually to go through that, the quarterback to go through that progression, against different coverages in terms of the route concepts they're running. So I think you got to have balance there, because some guys, as we know, Tom, they're good in the classroom, but then they get out there on the field and they can't process or they can't run full speed what they've digested in the classroom. So I think you got to have balance. And I think when you have a new offense, and especially when you have a new quarterback, a rookie quarterback, I think as an offensive coordinator, you may have all these ideas. You may be excited because you added so many weapons and there's so much promise. But at the same time, you have to remain humble enough to only go as far as the quarterback can go. So as he grows within the offense, and he has an understanding of what you're putting in, and he's able to go out there and execute it at practice, well, then you grow as he grows. You can't go out there and just give him the whole playbook and expect him to go out there and light the world on fire. You have to be patient with him, because you're the rookie, and it is a different.
Jason McKie, our guest here on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. Jeff and Tom. Jim Miller will join us here in just a minute. And we've got Jason McKie talking Bears football. J-Mac, is there a big training camp practice scenario brewing here because of the talent on offense, the weaponry that we're all thinking, okay, how are you going to stop this bunch, no matter who's quarterbacking? There's so much talent there. For a defense that felt its oats there the last half of the season, put up some unbelievable numbers, and really for that secondary to really, it's like it's going to really challenge each other here, right? Don't you think so? Young guys like Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, they're going to get tested there, and just like they're going to test the other guys on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to get tested, but at the same time, I think, there's going to be growth with those guys as well. They had opportunity as rookies to see a lot of things. They were tested as rookies as well. And I think, the second year in the league, I think the game is going to really slow down for them. You saw it start to slow down towards the end of the season for those guys, and they were able to make a lot of plays at timely moments for this Bears defense. So I think they're going to be more confident. Obviously they're working hard on their fundamentals to make sure that they're ready to take another step. But, I'm excited to see, how they've grown in their second season within this defense. And I'm also curious to see if Coach Matt Eberflus are going to give these guys, more of an expanded role.
Jim Miller now ready to join us from SiriusXM NFL Radio's Moving the Change. Big Jim, you and J-Mac were two ships passing in the night. Unfortunately, you were not teammates because I think you guys would have hit it off very well. Mm-hmm. You were in Dallas when Jim was with the Bears, and then you arrived after Jim left. So Jim, you would have loved the tank back there at fullback in the form of J-Mac, don't you think?
Yeah, well, I'm well aware of Jason McKie's work and how well he was as a player, and Jason, obviously, how the Bears ran the ball last year. And from my perspective, they've done a nice job, what I call insulating a young Caleb Williams, with these blue chip players, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. I think Swift will be great in the backfield. And I think the O-line's better than what people think. But at the end of the day, Caleb Williams has to be able to do a coming out period, has to be able to execute a 2-minute drive, third down conversions. There are certain situational things that maybe they can take the load off of him, but he still has to be able to execute those key moments in terms of situational play.
Yeah, Jim, you hit it on the head. I mean, it's football's about situations, and there's going to be a lot of situations that, yes, Caleb Williams has been in these situations in college, but the stakes are higher. This is the NFL. NFL defenses is going to be faster and more sound than the defenses he's played against. And yes, he has a skill set that everybody's been salivating over. That's why he's the number one pick in the draft. But at the same time, we're talking about Shane Waldron. I think they have to do a really good job of really practicing situations. The only way you're going to get better at executing in timely moments is you practice those situations over and over again. Like you said, coming out 2-minute, even 4-minute offense, short yarders, all of those things that you're going to encounter into a game. And if you want to be good in those situations, you have to practice them. And Tom talked about being in the classroom. Yes, you're going to go over, key things in terms of situations on the grease board, 2-minute drill. Hey, receivers, make sure you're handing the ball to the ref. Don't throw it to the ref because the refs can't catch. That clock's running. Little nuances like that is going to help you excel in those situations. And then you have to be able to go out there and practice at full speed.
I got a question for both you guys, Jim and Jason, because I think you need to take this in consideration like we all do because it's a really important part of quarterback development. Jim as a quarterback, Jason as a coach. We don't know who the center is going to be. We don't have a center that has an extensive amount of experience that's been through every scenario that they can face on a field. So how many snaps before the start of the regular season do you want to get with whomever they choose to be center when you talk about the role, the importance, the velocity of a shotgun snap, the quickness of a directly under center snap, and everything that goes in? Because we talk a lot about the 7-on-7 game, but I think the role of the center can play an equally important role, Jason. And as a coach, how many snaps would you like to see those two get before the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of preseason, I think you got to be smart But at the same time, you have a new quarterback, you have a new center. They got to get a feel for each other, and as many snaps as you can with being smart to make sure that they're available for the regular season. But the snap, it like in terms of them getting comfortable within the offense, like you said, they've got to be able to be on the same page because communications are going to be different. I don't know if they're going to enable the center to make all the calls, especially when you have a rookie quarterback. So that chemistry is huge. I've got the quarterback has to know what the offensive line is doing, and the center is the quarterback of the offensive line. So they've got to be on one accord. We saw protection breakdowns last year with Justin Fields and the offensive line, and that led to disaster. But the more that you can get on the same page with the guy that you're going to be, taking snaps from and that offensive line that you're going to be playing with, the better this offense will be and the accelerated growth that you could see in this offense.
Yeah. Well, to me, they're both, again, those guys are both veterans. Ryan Bates, who was with the Bears, now went up there with the Bills. And, obviously the Bears liked his play and wanted him back. And I think Coleman Shelton, I would say the same thing about. Last year, obviously, Brian Allen gets hurt. He fills in at center nicely. And really, you look at the Rams, they wanted to sign him back. So he did a really nice job in their north and south running scheme, what they have with Kyron Williams. So I think that'll get sorted out pretty quickly, quite frankly. But to me, they're both veterans. They both have played. Bates has been more guard center, in terms of his combinations, and Coleman has been pretty much a center. So I think it'll sort itself out pretty quickly. But again, they're both veterans, and once those pads come on, they'll know quickly, and I think it'll sort itself out where the cream will rise to the top.
Jason McKie, our guest here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. So you spent a lot of time with Devin Hester, both in your career and as friends, recently on the golf course with him. Where is his head at as he approaches August 1st? The Bears get there with the preseason game, and then a couple days later, induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I actually spent time with him this weekend. He was up in Chicago for an appearance as well. But he's excited, but it's funny because, being around him, you see how much work is going into this behind the scenes. He's been back and forth to Canton. They've been designing his bus for the Hall of Fame. He's also putting together his Hall of Fame party, and they're working out the details in terms of his itinerary for the time he's going to be up there. So I think he's just excited. He's taking it all in, but he's traveling back and forth from South Florida to Canton quite often, and he's been on the golf course as much as he can be. So it's pretty neat to see that you have another teammate getting this opportunity. Obviously, I had this opportunity to see another teammate going like Brian Urlacher, but it's pretty cool to see a guy who came here as a rookie, a young rookie, and then to see the career that he put together, and then him actually just receiving the accolades that he's receiving from his stellar career. So it's definitely exciting, as a teammate standpoint, but it's even more exciting as it being one of your closest friends.
Well, you got to make sure Thayer's on that guest list for that party now.
Right.
Tom can't be – Tom, he'll be at the Michael party for sure, but you got to get him on the Hester party. I think you have some pull, don't you?
Definitely. We're gonna just get Thayer to Mike at the party and let him just tell his stories.
Right.
Story time with Thayer.
J-Mac, I want to hear a story from you because you're instrumental in the sideline reporting of the game, and now they brought back the kickoff return. And before you could almost say, okay, they're going to kick it out of the end zone. Let me get myself set up at the whatever yard line they're going to start. You have any thought process of how you're going to position yourself to, get a good line of sight on the return game, the blocking game, the development of the type of blocking strategies and the kicking strategies that are going to develop?
Yeah, the funny thing is I haven't thought about where I would position myself. Normally I'd be in the back of the end zone.
Right.
I mean, during the game, we don't even pay attention to it. I'm so used to Joniak saying, another one through the end zone.
Right.
But now we're going to have the excitement. But I'm really excited to see how these special teams coordinators and how this, how they're going to put packages and schemes together with the new rules. And I'm also excited to see who's going to take that return, the kickoff return position, because, it's going to create an opportunity. It's going to bring, the excitement back of the kickoff return to open the game. So I'm just excited that the NFL found a way to bring this play back into the game. And I've got to find my spot to figure out how I'm going to break it down. And I know Joniak will be on the call, but it's going to be exciting times. Hopefully we can find a returner that can take advantage of this new kickoff return format.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I've been talking to a lot of special teams coaches, and they think it's going to be more of a hand-to-hand combat play, and it'll be interesting to see who they slough off. Is it L1? Is it R1? Because, if you start running twists and stuff up front, I mean, that thing could go to the house in a hurry.